The time is just gone 9:35 as we continue with our broadcast this morning, and we will be joined in a minute by Islamic Relief South Africa's HOD Fund Development, Abdul Aleem Gamza, and just to update the resumption in the attacks, the war on Gaza continues, and according to the Gaza's health ministry, at least 21 people have been killed since the Israeli army resumed its attacks, and we've seen already visuals coming through, plumes of smoke over Gaza, and once again, those deadly drones, those deadly fighter jets are raining havoc on the people of Gaza, and the genocide still continues. And while that is happening, we know the last 7 days we've seen some of the realities start to surface when we've seen visuals on the scale of the damage that was done in northern Gaza, and the situation right now is getting even worse. But relief organizations like Islamic Relief South Africa on the ground and getting addressing this dire humanitarian situation, this escalating humanitarian crisis. Abdul Aleem, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jummah Mubarak to you and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh to yourself, Brother Unite, as well as the listeners of Salam Media.
Yes, as we see the resumption of the attacks on Gaza, as we see the attacks, the war on Gaza continuing, Abdul Aleem, just looking at the current situation on the ground in Gaza, considering that the escalating humanitarian crisis, the devastating death toll, the challenges in accessing essential supplies, the critical shortages in hospitals, and the threat of operational breakdown for ambulances and communication services. What can you tell us, Abdul Aleem?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praise and thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once again, we are privileged and we're honored and humbled to be speaking to yourself and the listeners of Salam Media. Indeed, it's a time of reflection once again, as is every single day for a Muslim. We have to reflect, we have to take stock, we have to look at what's happening. We are on this day of Jumu'ah, as said, that there is an auspicious time on a Friday when du'as are readily accepted. And most ulama believe it's between Asr and Maghrib. So let us utilize that opportunity, a favor, a boon, a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to raise our hands, to make dua and ask for everything our heart desires. But more importantly, ask for the freedom of Palestine, ask for relief to our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And, these are very important things that we can do, readily off the bat. When you're looking at the situation in Gaza, 80% of the population of Gaza right now is in need of humanitarian aid. And all of us can well understand that when you've mentioned, when we've seen the devastation that has played itself out since the 7th of October and what it looks like in Gaza. We've seen hospitals being damaged and decimated. We've seen schools being shelled. We've seen, so many things that we require. And when we look at this, we see over 15,000 people having been killed, 30,000 people more being injured, and so many more people still missing. SubhanAllah. So this is the dire situation on the ground. Islamic Relief, alhamdulillah, we've been working on the ground since 1997. Our staff on a daily basis provides relief, provides assistance wherever possible based on the situation that they find themselves in. And every single day, without fail, they would send us an update of what been able to achieve on that day. So in my book, when I look at this, the real heroes are the people of Gaza. The real heroes are the people still serving the community in Gaza, irrespective of the circumstances that they find themselves in. And, we understand this. We look at, so many things that we sit and we complain today, maybe hot today because sitting the day in Jumu'ah, and maybe we go to a masjid where there's no air conditioning and we will complain, subhanAllah, so no, couldn't this masjid put in an air conditioning, it's so hot? But we think about our brothers and sisters in Gaza, when they perform in Jumu'ah, they're performing it in rubble, they're performing it on concrete, they're standing and there is no mats. There is no water, clean running water to take wudu. So they have to take tayammum. So that, again, we have been favored, and we have to realize the favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. When we're sitting down this afternoon or whenever for a meal, we have to think, They maybe complain the food is too salty, this is wrong with the food or that. But before we do that, let us take a moment and step back and say, our brothers and sisters in Gaza have nothing to eat. They are struggling. They are in need. They don't know where the next meal is coming from. Let me be grateful for what I have in front of me. And so we, one of the lessons for me as an individual, when I look at the people of Gaza, they teach us one. There's a couple of lessons, but the one that I see is the one of gratitude. Because when you speak to them and you pick up the phone and you ask them how they are, they don't complain of the situation. They don't complain of not having food. They don't complain of not having clean running water. They don't complain of anything. All they say is Alhamdulillah. And then they continue by saying Hasbuna, Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for us. So for us sitting on this side, we must realize that these people are people of patience. These people are of gratitude. These people are people who will raise their hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their du'as will be accepted. So when we provide assistance to them, when we a bottle of water, when we send a plate of food via organizations like Islamic Relief, by contributing and making donations, those individuals on the other side, they raise their hands. And they thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the bounty. They thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the favor. They thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for every person who's made it possible. So again, the biggest benefactors of that act of charity that we will be doing today, inshallah, is not the person on the other side, the rights holder, the recipient. It is actually the person giving. We are the biggest benefactors.
We certainly are. And, you speak about their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there was a quotation that came from a child from Gaza who said that the rockets may be above us, but they have forgotten that Allah is above them. And that is the level of their faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is so profound, this statement from a child from Gaza. But just coming back to Islamic Relief, in terms of your response, and to date, how has Islamic Relief responded to the ongoing crisis in Gaza, Abdul Aleem?
Brother Inayat, as I said, every day we get updates from our team on the ground. And we've been able to provide close to 60,000 food hampers. We've been able to provide over 245,000 hot meals. So we continue to provide assistance every single day. And something that people maybe overlook is the psychosocial support that we provide. And we provide that to children to make sure we try and take them out of the situation. They've seen some horrific scenes. They've seen people being killed in front of them. They've seen people losing their limbs in front of them. They've seen family members being hurt in the process. So they need this kind of counseling. They need this kind of assistance. And we can only do that. And we can only do this work by the contributions of our community here in South Africa. And it's important to note that the South African community is one of the communities that when there's a call for assistance in Palestine and in Gaza, this community in South Africa is one of the first responders to this call. They are one of the first responders to say, we will register our names via making a donation, via, giving a charity, via, having, raising our hands in dua, and we will keep this awareness alive. And the most important thing, Brother United, when you think about this, the ceasefire has now ended today. But in the interim, people may have been lulled into a false sense of security that things will be okay. People have been lulled into a false sense of security to think that, aid will be going in as expected. People may have been lulled into a false sense of security to think, after the 7 days, maybe it will be extended. But the reality is that we must not think that, what happened in Gaza, what's happening in Gaza happened on the 7th of October. This has been going on for decades. And we must realize that this has been a long-term problem, a long-term situation, a long-term, situation where people have been finding themselves without food, without clean running water, without so many essentials over various periods of time. And we must realize that we must continue. We must keep the conversations of Gaza and Palestine alive, way into the months to come, because I can assure you that this is a topical conversation that we need to have, and we need to keep it alive. We need to have these discussions with our children. I went to a school a few weeks ago, and I spoke to young children. They were in grade R up to grade 7, and I asked him, what do you think the situation, what are the children of Gaza going through? Normally people wouldn't want to answer that, but these kids, they wanted to answer the question. They wanted to tell me that they are connected to the children of Gaza. They could tell me the child is crying for his parents, the child is hungry, the child is in need of medical assistance. So the connection is there. Let us not lose this connection with our brothers and sisters in Gaza right now, because this connection is what keeps us real, what keeps us in touch with realities on the ground.
Well, certainly, and also you're talking of realities on the ground, Brother Abdul Aleem. You've mentioned previously that you are actively involved in a 750-kilometer run for Gaza. Now, this started at the beginning of November. The objective, raising funds towards aiding the people of Gaza. Perhaps you can provide us with an update in terms of how far you are, but and also more importantly, how can people get involved and support this worthy cause?
Alhamdulillah, I've managed, I'm beyond halfway. I'm at 400 kilometers that I've completed, Alhamdulillah. And first and foremost, I ask everybody just to make dua that I have the strength to complete the 750, inshallah, which will be at the end of December, the 31st of December. That is the plan. How, it is, people can sponsor per kilometer. It is 1,000 rand per kilometer. But if you don't have 1,000 rand, let us 1,000 rand not deter you from giving. Then you say, okay, I've got 200 rand, I've got 500 rand, I've got 800, whatever it is, I'm prepared to give this towards. And it's not giving it towards me, it's not going to my coffers, it's going towards Islamic relief and the work that we are doing in Gaza. Why have we embarked on this? It is to keep this awareness alive and to keep the discussions alive. People cannot, especially over the December period when we go into this season where we think of more of dunya than of anything else, the reality is we need to think about our brothers and sisters in Gaza and in Palestine. So this year of the run that we are doing is to keep it alive and keep these conversations alive and have people be reminded that, this is a situation. Maybe I'll be making a sack. And, Brother Knight, I'm interjecting myself here. One of the other lessons that comes out of Gaza for me is sacrifice. And these people are doing the ultimate sacrifice. They are sacrificing with their lives. They are sacrificing with their households, with their livelihoods. Here we are asking you to sacrifice maybe a little bit of your time. Maybe we're asking you to sacrifice, to say, instead of having this item over the next month, we will sacrifice. It's a luxury. We will not have that. And we will give that money in charity towards, the relief work that's taking, the humanitarian work that's taking place in Gaza. So we also need to make sacrifices. We cannot expect the people who are the custodians and who's taking care of Masjid al-Aqsa to be the ultimate people making the sacrifice. In this side, we need to sacrifice. We need to sacrifice with our time and we need to sacrifice with the wealth because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely tested us with this. Our brothers and sisters in Gaza are passing this test with flying colors. How are we going to pass this test? So join me on a run. I'm in the Western Cape, unfortunately, most of the time. And there's been runners that have joined me on various runs and so forth. Actually, I join them because I think, it is rather me joining them than them joining me. And alhamdulillah, we've managed to get to halfway in terms of the funds that we wanted to raise and halfway in terms of distance that we wanted to cover. Inshallah, so people can continue, go onto our website, go and see Run for Gaza onto our website, go into the crowdfunding page and make the contribution, or give us a call on our toll-free number, which is 0800 111 898, and get all the necessary details from that. Follow us on Instagram and also just get updates, and you can follow me on Strava as well and see how far I've come. But yeah, the idea really is, it's not necessarily the money that we raise, it's not the amount of distance that I've covered. The real success of this run is to keep the conversation of Gaza alive, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah, Abdul Aleem, Jazakallah khairan so much. Allah Ta'ala grant you the strength to continue with the wonderful work, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala accept your efforts and everybody else with Islamic Relief South Africa. All the information is available on Islamic Relief South Africa's website. And please, yes, as Abdul Aleem says, these are people that have paid the ultimate price. They've given it all. They've given up, given their blood, their sweat, their every drop of blood, every life that is lost is not going to be be a life that is in vain. They are in a better place. The key issue here is where are we and what are we doing at the end of the day? And this is a way for us to secure our akhirah as well. So let us dig deep into our pockets. Let us contribute. Let us open up our hearts. Let us open up everything that we've got, and the little that we sacrifice, inshallah, will go a long way. As always, Abdul Aleem, Jazakallah. Have yourself a wonderful Jummah. Allah accept, Allah reward all your efforts as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
There you have it, the Abdul Halim. The situation in Gaza is indeed very, very dire. The people on the ground are desperate. They need our support, and beyond material aid, our du'as are pivotal. Today being the day of Jum'ah, there are times during this day of Jum'ah when du'as are accepted, and it is crucial that we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We seek His forgiveness. We invoke His mercy for our brothers and sisters in Gaza as the resumption of the attack, as the resumption of the war on Gaza continues. And let us remember, let us be mindful of the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a change of conditions. He holds the power to alleviate the ongoing difficulties faced by our brothers and sisters in Gaza and in Palestine. It is our duty to fervently pray for for relief and for the well-being of those that are affected. It is our du'as, in our du'as, where we implore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to extend His divine mercy, offering solace and assistance to the oppressed. And we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His infinite mercy, bring about positive change and provide comfort to those who are enduring all these hardships. Ameen. And with that, we're going to go for a break. Next up, we'll be joined by social intifada activist Khalid Avauda.